3, 2.
I got everybody pregnant with Barry Katz and semen.
I'm not comfortable with the tone this is taking.
If you're undeniable, you will not be denied.
If you want to be successful in show business, you get yourself a true white manager like Barry Katz.
Being a manager is just turning no's into yeses.
Creating holy shit moments. Undeniable.
You're fucking firing me up, Katz.
I love this man.
Is there anything else I should know? You're on. What?
Now I'm on the air.
Barry Katz, back in the house.
Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very excited today to introduce my guest. This is a guy I've known since I was sperm, okay?
Yeah.
And he was talented then, and he's more talented now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest. What an honor, Jason Nash.
A little sperm swimming. We were swimming. I remember it so well. We shot out one load together, and you were there, and I was there, and you obviously got to the egg, and here you are at industry standard.
You didn't get to the egg?
No, I never made. I was only one can make it, Barry. You know this. You
There
know
can be twins. There can be. Your hair is amazing. You could get in a hurricane and your hair would never move.
I was
It's
in one
unbelievable.
today. I was in one today. That's what's.
How
that's what's
long
cool.
does it take to get it to do that?
It doesn't. It just does what it wants, depending on the temperature, the wind, how I showered, how long it is, how much product I put in. I do use product, Axe, but I don't dye it. I have tried to dye it, and it doesn't look good. And
Us blonde people, we have an advantage sometimes where
Yes.
the gray doesn't set in right
yeah,
away.
they don't know if it's gray or if it's blonde. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
how
that's-
much you have gray? What's your percentage?
I have this stuff and I have this stuff here. That's and sometimes, as you can tell, there's a little, but it's seeping in. I can feel it.
And no dye in there.
No, and that's just is me. But there's
beautiful.
But this is like it's getting there here. So
Well, people like gray hair, mostly, right?
Let us-
Don't women like gray hair?
let us pray.
That's what they've told me. I feel bad for bald people. I get very uncomfortable if I'm at a table with a bald person.
What if they shave their head on purpose?
I think that's great. I think that's a great look. I also think, go and get the surgery. But it's not my problem because I get a lot of shit from bald people. A lot of bald people, they'll like if I meet somebody bald and like we go out to dinner, like two couples, like my wife and the husband's bald, he's just looking at me like, you motherfucker, and I'm like, dog, I don't know. I got a bunch of problems. I got hair. I'm lucky. This is the one thing I got. Leave me alone. I would give him some if I could, but I don't know what to do. But hymns works. I have a friend that uses hymns. The drops work. And then of course, there's always turkey. You can go there but we all have things we don't like about it.
I just went there and I didn't get anything done. I just went there to enjoy both sides, the Asian side and the Turkish side.
There's an Asian side to Turkey?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
Or were you just in Chinatown of Turkey?
No, the ocean through Istanbul, it goes through like it looks like a river.
Yeah.
And on one side, I believe there's I geographically I'm not great, but there's a Turkish, more Turkish side, and then there's a more Asian side of the country. But if I'm wrong, I'll delete that from this podcast.
Oh, and how much money have you made, Barry, over the years? How much money have you
The
made
question is-
representing the finest comedy talent? That's what I want to know. I know you live in Malibu. I know you come down here in your spare time to do this podcast as Kurt Fox once roasted you. So you must be living the most amazing life.
The question is how much money I've spent.
Oh, on what?
No,
Education? Kids?
I have two boys, 19 and 20. But
Okay, that's a money sum.
but I will answer this
Please.
in a way that might shock the audience. It might not. Like, I've always lived my life in a way that I don't really wouldn't preach other people to live it all the time. It's like the reason why I live in Malibu, and not to get emotional or for you to shit on me, is like
Your mother's ashes are there.
well,
Is that why?
That could be. I could spread them out. But I from when I was a little kid, I always loved the ocean, and I always wanted to live and work looking at the ocean.
Me too.
And I said to myself, like, I don't care how much extra money I'm going to lose by doing it. I want to feel that calm and and so
Amazing.
So I've always made it a point to, even the place where I live, it's like, it's just, you know, obviously if I lived in Glendale or, you know, Burbank or insert name of any town that's inland,
Sure.
I'd have millions more dollars. I mean, obviously I would.
Yeah.
But I don't choose to do that, so I choose to make it harder on myself to live the life that I want to live, because I don't think that, as your mother said and my mother said, you know, you're not going to take it with you. You're not going to take anything with you. And then nobody gave anything to me. Nobody left anything to me. And so, and I think I figured out a way to navigate through it, and nobody left anything for you. And you figured out a way to navigate through it. We're always so worried about, oh, are our kids going to make it? Or are our kids going to do, we got to leave this for them. We got to leave. And that doesn't mean I'm not setting up the.
Would you go to a condo in Glendale so your kids could have more?
No. No, I wouldn't. And they would support that.
They would?
Yes. Because I'll tell you why. Because I swear to you they would.
Yeah.
The pandemic was one of the greatest things that ever happened to us, because throughout their whole high school years, we lived together on the ocean at Zuma Beach. And
They go to Malibu High?
Yeah, they went to Malibu High.
How was that?
It was fantastic.
Great, right? Good school system.
It's one of the few, thank God.
And you didn't have to pay for it?
No, it's like a private school, only it's public. So that's...
Yeah.
But the point is that I want to do things that are... And somebody would say it's selfish, but I just want to do and spend the things that are gonna, like, I don't buy a lot of clothes. I don't have like fancy
cars,
things or whatever. I just.
So how much did you make?
I don't talk about money like that. I'll talk about.
You know what's funny?
I'll talk about deals that I've done.
When I was in the comedy world, no one would talk about money. And then I got into the YouTube world, and that was all people would talk about. They would say, I made this, I made that, blah, 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 blah. Be very public with it. And I don't know if that's like a generational thing, or maybe it's a thing where you want to, like, maybe we just share so much of ourselves now. But I mean, yeah, for so long, that's how I was raised. You'd never say, you know, how much are you making?
Get information, never give it.
I went on a podcast yesterday for TikTok. They have like a podcast they do, and they were like, okay, so we want to talk about like how much money you're making on TikTok. And I was like, well, that's kind of gauche, isn't it? But there's two sides of it. There's one side of like, hey, this is what I'm making. Wow, let me be aspirational, and I can achieve that too. And then there's the other side, which is like, F this guy, like he's making that much, and I'm working a job, you know. So I never know how people receive it. How do you receive it?
Well, the first thing, the way I receive it is, fucking do the research. You can figure it out.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, like, how much did Chappelle make last weekend at Madison Square Garden? Well, okay, how much is the rent at Madison Square Garden? Okay, it's $377,000. Security ticket thing, okay. How much was the average ticket price? Okay, average ticket price was $77. How many people are in the venue? 19,276 people. Okay, what does his agent get? 10%. Okay, let's see.
There's no way to calculate, though, a crew. Also, I heard Madison Square Garden, you make no money. That because it's just like, that's what Dane Cook told me, that doing Madison Square Garden is just like a vanity thing. Or no, Gabriel Iglesias told me doing Dodger Stadium was a complete vanity thing. In other words, he didn't make any money on it, but to just for the brand Gabriel Iglesias, it's great to say I sold out Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say something.
Yeah.
And if Gabe were sitting here, he'd probably jump over the microphones and stab me in the neck. Anything you do professionally,
right?
If you don't make money at it, then there's something that you have overlooked.
Like this podcast?
This podcast I don't do for the money.
Right.
And I know that sounds shocking.
I know you don't do it for the money.
I don't
I'm
have
sure.
sponsor. I don't do.
I'm sure you don't.
I don't care about that. I
No.
do it because I want to
In your spare time.
inspire young people to
Yeah.
do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the spare time. It's gonna
Ian
be
was
good-
funny.
it's
I
gonna
just
be
saw Ian.
crushing.
I just saw Ian Edwards, who's so funny. I go, how's everything? I go, I've seen you lately. I saw you a couple times at the store. You're so good. Blah blah blah. I go, how you doing? He goes, well, pretty good, but not good enough to get out of this podcast. Doing Barry's podcast.
See how I get shit on all the time. It's all.
Yeah, but that's okay. All your clients would do impressions of you and have me reeling. Like Jay Moore, I've seen do an impression of you. Elon Gould. Oh my God, I used to ask Elon to do the impression of you. Every time I would see him, I go, do the Barry Katz impression. Can you do it? And he'd go, oh yeah. And I mean, I won't do it because it's like I'm not going to do it justice. But what he would say is that the joke was, he goes, Jay Moore came to me. Elon's so funny. He goes, Jay Moore, I can't do you. But he goes, Jay Moore came to me and asked me. There was 2 scripts, Saving Private Ryan and Paulie. He asked me which one I should do. I told him Paulie.
Will you believe I've never heard him do that?
You've never heard him do that?
That one did.
And I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's just such a
There's
funny.
no truth to that.
Because as a manager, and I've had so many managers over the year, they're all great. David Martin, Jack Reed, they're all great. But as a manager, it's so easy for a comic to punch down to the manager because, we used to joke like when we were doing really great on YouTube. We had David Dobrik and I had the same manager, Jack Reed. And Jack Reed is like, we're out there. I mean, I'm getting buried alive for a YouTube video or taped to the wall or shot with a paintball gun or whatever I'm doing. And, Jack is in Ibiza. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just, and that's the way it should be. That's why you have managers. You need somebody that's like normal, that's living a normal life, that takes vacations and,
Yeah.
so it's an easy,
But I wanted just
easy
before
punch.
we go on to the next thing, I just wanted to go with the thing because we made a joke about it, like with this podcast. Like you've known me a long time.
yeah.
I know that I don't do this for me. Like I'm trying to raise my stake in the business
Yeah.
of like whatever.
But I see your TikToks all the time,
yeah,
which
like,
is great.
Yeah,
Like I
they
saw your
take-
Swartzen ones; they were so fun. Swartzen's so funny.
Yeah, but and it's like I have this group of people who
Yeah.
put these things out, and they're meant to help people. They're not meant to like, make me like a keynote speaker across the country, and I'm making $50,000 a speech. I've already I've had a great. And I still enjoy it so much. I love management. I love producing films. I love doing that. But what I was saying about the money thing is like when you go into anything, you can figure out a way to do it. And if you do it where you don't make money, that's your choice, you know. And because Gabe certainly could have made a situation work with that performance. He could have done some kind of a live streaming thing. He could have done anything like that where he wanted to. So if he didn't make money on it, that was his choice because he's a very smart business person.
Sure.
And just like you've done things that you're like, okay, like you said, why am I having paintball shot at me when that video only got this, and then I did this where I was just in my house talking with this girl and it got like 10 million more views.
Right.
But when people ask you how much you make on TikTok, beside the sponsorship stuff that could be, all they got to do is figure out the algorithm and figure out how many views you have and figure out how many people are in your video that you're splitting with, and you can kind of get an idea of what people are doing.
Yeah,
So-
that's true.
So it's like, and so I don't really, when people ask me things like that or ask you things like that, it's like, you know what, you can't figure it out. And something, Brad Williams told me, which I love, and it's a great advice for any comedian, not just any comedian, I don't care if you're a gardener who has your own business or whatever. He said when he was working with Carlos Mencia and opening up for him, there was a check that was delivered and there was no envelope or something of that nature, and it came, when he was sitting with Carlos Mencia, and it was $250,000.
Wow.
And Brad said, "Wow, it's amazing. You made $250,000." And Carlos took him aside. I think he closed the door or whatever. Said, "Listen, Brad, this isn't $250,000. There's an agent who gets 10% of this $25,000. There's a manager who gets 10% of this.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're down to $200,000.
Yeah.
I have a publicist who gets money. I have a lawyer that gets 5%.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I got taxes coming off of it. This $250,000 check is probably going to be $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah.
And so, there's also things that people don't realize.
People don't get that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't get the taxes. They don't. I mean, people come at me, like they'll make videos about me or whatever, like, well, why is he doing this or why is he doing that? And I don't think majority of people that are online or are my fans understand what the cost of living is, or to have 2 kids, or to put kids through college, or taxes is
And
crazy.
I have a lot of things to ask you about.
Yeah.
I want to go here first.
Sure.
Because one of the things that I was so excited to sit down with you about, and I have been, and in fairness, as you know, I have reached out to you several times in the past years to do this.
Yes,
so
you
I don't
have.
want the audience
And
to
you know,
think that I've
and
never asked
that is not.
No,
I had this talk with Rick Glassman once. He was like, he had asked me to do his podcast, and I told him when I saw him, I just said, there's like a certain pressure to be funny for an hour. And when I watch real comedians go on a podcast, like a Bert or a Tom or someone like that, I don't. There was years where I didn't feel that I'm up to be entertaining for an hour.
And this isn't, and what's great, I think one of the things that's wonderful about this space here is that I'm not interested in people being funny. They're funny where if they, look, when I had Bill Burr on, he destroyed me.
I mean, that's what I mean. Level.
But that was his thing. He didn't want to get serious about it, and he just wanted to shit on me.
Yeah.
But
I'll do your podcast. I'm just gonna come in and shit on you the entire time. Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask you about was, you've navigated so many spaces.
Yeah.
And you know how we've read the history of how long ago there was radio, and then television came, and people came to television and they had to adjust, or they went away, or there's people who were in silent movies hundreds of years or 100 years ago, and then they had to adjust to talking movies, or some couldn't adjust.
Yeah.
And when I sit across from you and I talk to you, the first thing I think about is, this is a guy who is not a dinosaur. Dinosaurs go extinct because they can't adjust to all the things that are happening in the world.
Yeah.
You've adjusted personally to challenging times, like I have. You know, when you're married and you think, okay, I have kids, and this is the way the world tells me it's supposed to be, and then one day you're not married anymore, and it's like, and we're splitting seeing our kids. Is this how it's working? And you're trying to figure out your life personally. And then professionally, many times for me, and I've always been a guy, as you know, who likes to do a lot of things. So I've never not wanted to do a lot of things. I love doing a lot of things, but there's still an adjustment in doing things that you want to do and then making them successful. And you're one of the few people who navigates through times and always figures out how to win.
I wish I could say. Go ahead. Finish.
You don't, and so I think it's important for the audience to know that this is a skill set that you've developed, and I think it's important to know how you figured out how to develop it when other people who started with you are selling cars and in donut shops.
Well, I wish I could say that I'm some kind of like mastermind or that I know some secret. Every single time that I've like reinvented myself, it came from a place of absolute desperation and of survival. So that's it. So
why didn't the other people have the desperation and survival?
Maybe they didn't have kids. You know, like I have to say, like, if I, like, take YouTube, for instance, like when I went and started doing YouTube and I quit, I made a couple of movies. They didn't do well. They did awful. They were bad.
You started your own YouTube channel what year?
2016.
Which honestly, I thought it was earlier than that.
Well, 2013, I was on Vine.
But I thought you also had a YouTube channel.
I had a YouTube channel, but it didn't blow up till 2016. So,
I think it's important to go back to this because a lot of the audience doesn't really understand.
Sure, yeah. I'll tell you the whole story.
The thing about doing what you're doing,
right,
whether it's on TikTok or Vine or whatever, is that even though you're your own boss, you're not your own boss because one day somebody can pull the plug on something you worked so hard for. For those of you who don't know, Jason is a guy who, at the height of the Vine success, he was at, I think, 2.7 million subscribers.
3 million.
3 million subscribers. And then one day, after killing himself and building up this incredible audience and making money and putting all of his effort into this and being his own boss and whatever, they just pull the plug on him and he has to start over.
And we made pretty good money on Vine.
But what I'm saying is it's like,
yes.
If you guys could think about, it's one thing to be working in a job and get fired.
Yeah.
But you know that you have a boss that can fire you.
Yes.
Okay. But it's another thing to be, have your own like business, like you're a sand beach sanitation cleaner and you own your own company. And you're like, man, this is great. I own my own company. And then the fucking state of California says, we're going to use our own people now. Yeah. So you've not only have you navigated into the internet space from traditional media, where you would acknowledge because of the two movies, you got the shit kicked out of you a little bit mentally.
Yeah.
Then you go into this internet space and you're fucking killing it, and then you get the shit kicked out of you there, and you start at zero again, and then you come back again.
Yeah.
So I want you to explain to the audience how you did that when so many other people.
A lot of it's luck, and a lot of it is having two kids that I have to figure something out. And if it hadn't worked, I'd go do something else. I mean, like, those both Vine and YouTube came from a place of desperation. Like, I gotta support these kids, and a lot of it is luck too. Like, I remember I made a movie called FML. It was a movie. It wasn't good.
Now, there's two ways of saying you made a movie.
Yeah, I directed and starred in a movie.
Thank you. So, just so
I directed and starred in a movie and wrote a movie.
Okay, so he did it all on his own. The only thing you didn't do, I don't believe you financed it.
I didn't finance it, no. The poor person that financed it, I'm so sorry. So we made this movie, like, all right. And the day the movie came out, it sold 6 copies. It downloaded, it was straight to download. And Vine got eviscerated. Vine went away the same day. I was like, oh man, I was already divorced. So I started like installing speakers, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm just gonna go do stand up. I'll try to.
You started installing speakers.
Yeah, I started working at like speaker conventions, setting up speaker things for my friends. So that's what I would go do.
I
Like
did- I
a
did
regular
not-
job.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great. And it was really funny. The first day I came home, I told my friends, I'm like, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like working a blue collar job. It's the best. I was like, you don't have to think about it when you go home, blah, 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 blah. But then after a month, I was like, I can't do this. But anyways, so then I go, and then I went to the Improv and I did stand up one night and I was just there.
How many times you did stand up before that?
I'd done stand up hundreds of times. I was already 43 years old.
Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
I've seen you do two kinds of stand up.
Yes, this was actual stand up.
I've seen you do actual stand up where you plant your feet and you talk in the microphone and you do premises and bits. And I've seen you do
characters.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this was actual stand up.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wasn't good at it, but I did have a good set that night for some reason. And there was someone in the audience, a kid who was like 20 years old, who was a big YouTube star. And he walked up to me right after and he was like, I want you to come work with me. And so it was a complete luck, but the thing that I did have was 20 years of material and trying. And
This is where it's not luck. I'll tell you why.
okay, go ahead. Well, luck meets preparation, right? Isn't that what it is?
Well,
The same?
you're training for 20 years for
Yes.
the day when something's going to happen.
100%.
And so you don't know when somebody's going to be in the crowd and whatever. And that's why I say to people all the time when they go up and they're like, I'm just going to fuck around. You never know who's going to be in the audience. If you want to fuck around in the open mic nights.
Yeah.
Don't fuck around when it comes time to when the crowd's there and the lights are shining the brightest.
I thought it would be Marcy Carsey that found me, but instead it was a 20-year-old kid with, 3 million followers on YouTube.
Got it. And just for the audience to know what he's talking about, Marcy Carsey was partners with Tom Werner and Karen Mandabach, and they did Roseanne and Cosby. And, a million shows.
And for years, I sold scripts to the networks, and it never went to pilot, and then I just gave up at it. I was just like, I would love to sit here. I enjoyed the process. I loved it, but I wasn't making any money. I was like, okay, I can't. And same thing with TikTok this year. It's like, I got to make money. I got to support these kids. My son's going to Columbia next year. And it's...
You know that I ran a comedy club in the basement of the West End, which is right across from Columbia, a very historic restaurant and bar.
What was it called?
The West End.
Yeah, the West End. I remember.
It's on 114th Street,
Way
right
up there.
across from near Columbia.
Did you have a lot of Columbia students?
Yeah, do you know who the doorman was? Timothy Oliphant.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So that's great. Congratulations on Columbia. My sons are the only kids in the world that are going to one-year community colleges. So it's good to see that yours are doing well.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure Marnie Hochman had a lot to do with that as well as you did.
Well, he's very smart, and it all comes from her. Her side of the family, I think. Tell me a Patrice story.
I will. I can tell you several Patrice stories, but the biggest thing about Patrice is that he was always a guy who I felt like was hard to get him to listen to maybe my words of wisdom in terms of how to talk to people, how to navigate with people, how to, play the game.
How did he receive that when you would ask him to play the game?
He was always respectful with me, but he would be like, he'd always have that face like, oh, man, I can't do that. But when I first met him outside of the Boston, I met him before that because he was Bruiser O'Neal from Boston, and this comedy team named Cato and Morin introduced me to him. Tommy Morin just did a special with Dry Bar, but he came up to me and he said, "Nice teeth. You could eat an apple through a white picket fence or something like that." It's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Crushed me. But he was the kind of guy who would always like,
What an opener.
you know, Kevin Hart would be going on and doing a set at the Boston and, you know, really trying to make an impact. And there could be a showcase, could be something important. And Patrice would just walk in and heckle him, you know. It's
I
like,
heard a story that he threw a phone book at Kevin Hart's feet once and said, like, this is better than what, read this, it's better than what you're doing right now, or something like that.
Probably.
Maybe it wasn't Kevin Hart, but I definitely threw a phone book at somebody on the stage. Not threw it at him, but like put it on the stage.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Really funny.
We've seen everything. But the thing is with you that you were there at the Improv. The guy was there. The guy had 3 million followers.
Yeah.
You have how many followers at the time?
Nothing.
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 Okay, so
Because
this
Vine
is,
was erased that day.
yeah. So this is the most amazing thing about you and what you did and what happened. So
Right.
I always look at life personally and professionally as like a pros and cons list.
Yeah.
And if I put the list together of the pros and the cons outweigh the pros, then I'm not doing it. You know, I'm just not doing it. And so whether it's professionally or personally, whether it's going out with a woman, whether it's going on a vacation in a certain place and it says, okay, this is dangerous here or whatever. So this guy, the name of the person again who was
David Dobrik.
David Dobrik.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, David Dobrik.
No, it's okay.
I thought it was another person that was.
No,
in
it's
it.
a different world. It's not your
right.
world. I get it.
No, David, I'm very familiar with.
You
I
know.
just didn't know that was the one that was the. So
Yeah.
So David meets with you.
Yeah.
Okay. He meets with you.
Yeah.
Okay. David has value in the space.
Yeah.
So David's value in the space is 100% out of 100.
Yes.
Your value in the space, factually and evidence-wise,
Yeah.
is 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now you did have Vine with 2.7 million
Yep.
or 3 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3 million. So you had the same as he did on Vine.
Yeah. But
But
not
you-
the same. YouTube is way more
Yeah. But
powerful than Vine.
Yeah, but you lost it that day.
Yeah.
So you lost there. It's like somebody wants to do a financial investment with you, and you're like and then you lose all your money.
This is
and-
interesting the way you're looking at it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is why I wanted to talk to you about this for so long, because
Right.
it's like I just
like
didn't I just didn't know this was the first person who did it. I thought there was somebody before David. I
No,
don't know
no.
why. So I'm sorry for that. So the thing is so you're meeting with somebody, you have at the time, factually, at the moment you meet, you have nothing,
Nothing.
and he has 3 million followers.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Barry Katz, and I wanted to talk to you about Blueprint for Success. This is a community that I put together during the pandemic to help all artists of every walk of life in the entertainment business, no matter where you are in that part of this journey. It's designed to help you. There are podcasts with people that will inspire you, like Kevin Hart, Judd Apatow, Bill Burr, that you can't find anywhere else but on this program that I've interviewed, to times where we get to talk to executives in the business that you would never have access to tell you what you need to hear and to answer your questions, to all sorts of different videos and master classes designed to help you get to the promised land. That's what the Blueprint for Success is. Doesn't matter whether you want to be a stand-up comedian, a sketch performer, a podcaster, an actor, an actress, director, writer, social media person, whatever you want to be. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've had the honor and been humbled to represent people like Chappelle, Wanda Sykes, Louis C.K., Dane Cook, and probably over 20 other people who went from a studio apartment to being a multi-millionaire and a household name. And I want that for you, and I wanted to take the time with this program to be able to help you on your way there, to get there and to heighten and increase the trajectory of your career. Blueprint for Success, is the way to go. I'm proud to be a part of this program, and I'd be proud to have you to be a part of it too.
Do you know how extraordinary you have to be to convince a person that you're valuable enough to partner up with him? Because I'm sure he didn't come up to you and say, "Hey, listen, I want to partner up with you, and I'll give you half of what." I'm sorry. He didn't come up to you and say, "I want to partner up with you. I want to give you 7% of what I make."
No, he did. It was all him though. He walked up to me that night. He said, "Can you come do a sketch tomorrow?" I said, "Sure."
Yeah, but he's launching you like Kill Tony launches comedians.
Yes.
And then once you get launched, Kill Tony does tours with, Tony Hinchcliffe does tours with some of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were in a situation where somebody's willing to launch you.
Yeah.
And do that. And so, but he's got other people that he's launched. He's trying to launch. Well, let me rephrase. He's got other people that he's doing sketches with.
Yes.
For the sake of argument, let's say he's got 8 regular people that he puts in and out of his things.
Yes.
Okay, when you come along.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of those 8 people who gets the most response, and there's one of those 8 people that gets the 8th most response.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Now, a new guy he's bringing in to the mix in with those 8 people.
Yes.
And so you're training through all the years. When you go in and do that first sketch, your thought process is, if I know you properly and I don't know you as well as you know you, it's like, okay, let me see what these 8 people have been doing. And I'm going to do my sketch, and it's going to be like stand-up, where you get off stage and you finish, you drop the mic, and you look at the next comic and say, "Take that, motherfucker."
Right.
So he came to you to do a sketch. Now, this is what's hard, is that for the audience, he's in control.
Yeah.
He's the boss.
Right.
He comes to you with an idea for a sketch, and what he doesn't know is you're going to pull from every sketch you've done in your life and the Rolodex in your mind of what you've learned.
Yeah.
And when he tells you what he wants you to do,
Right.
you are going to not give him exactly what he wanted. You're going to give him what he wanted, but within what he wanted, you're going to take that Rolodex and that Airbnb of your mind of every performance you've done.
Yeah.
And you're going to go in and you're going to crush those people.
Right.
And I presume that's what happened.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
You guess so.
I guess so. It was a great setup because you would just try all day long to come up with something funny, and you only needed a few minutes. So most of the time when you would try to be funny, you wouldn't.
But this first sketch,
Right.
tell our audience what happened.
Oh, it's like it was completely ripped from the stand-up I did the night before. It was something about me yelling at Gen Z, or complaining about Gen Z. That was the sketch.
And how did that do?
I mean, I guess it did great. His videos always did great. He was a master at cutting and keeping things so short that you never got bored inside the vlog. So it's a vlog with maybe 7 or 8 segments that were 20 seconds, 6 seconds. Maybe one of them was like a minute.
You say you guess it did well. Do you think that if
they all did well. I mean, he was flying high. Every video he did 3 million.
So in other words, if he
views.
put me in a video back then, just with my slow voice and the way I am,
he would
that
pull,
would have done the well.
So he would pull the 5 seconds where you were funny and make you look like Barry Katz was an absolute comedy legend.
So I think this is important for the audience, because I don't believe you, by the way. I believe you what you're saying about how he did things.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, I believe you about that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
I'm speaking to his editing ability. That's all.
But I'm speaking to you.
Me?
As about you. So the thing is that the way you're saying it is like he could put a cadaver in his sketches and he could do great numbers. I think there has to be something about the person in the video that he's cutting that blows people the away, and you were that person.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't look at it like that. It's like, you know what it is? It's like, the thing about being funny is like, it's the worst. It's the worst. Because it's like, even if I made you laugh like once during the podcast, right? Or twice, maybe. And then it's such a great feeling. Like, oh my God, I made Barry laugh, And you're like, ah. And then it's gone. And then it's like, you got to do it again. You're always just kind of.
So it's like love and life.
Yeah, it's a little bit like love and life. Like it's something that you're just always chasing. And certainly when we were making those videos, it was like, there were lots of things that I did that were funny that he didn't put in because it wasn't his taste. Like I like all kinds of comedy. I like physical stuff. I like highbrow stuff. And so it's just a job at the end of the day. It's just like, oh, go out, have fun, try to get something funny and then make money. And then the way he didn't take by the way, I just want to clarify, he didn't take a percentage of what I did. The way we did it was he appeared in my videos. So then my channel got to 3 million because I would do his videos and he would do my videos. And so that's how I made my money. I made it through.
But he donated his time.
He donated his time.
And you donated your time.
And I donated my time, and we spent every minute together. And we had a podcast. And
but the point I'm trying to make, Jason.
Yeah.
Why did he do a podcast with you and not one of the fucking 37 other people that he used on a regular basis for his videos that you say anybody could make funny?
I probably, out of everybody in the group, we had the most similar sense of humor. So
I would argue that it's because you bring something to the table of value that the other people didn't, or he would have chose somebody else.
Sure, yeah, I guess so.
Yes, you're a great hang. and that's very, very important, because if you weren't a great hang, you wouldn't do it with me.
Right.
Not going to do it with somebody where there's drama or stress or anything like that. It's not going to happen. But he's doing it because he believes in you and thinks you're talented. And that's what I'm trying to
I guess so.
share with you
I
and with the audience is that, you're going to go into situations where you have this opportunity. Everybody has opportunities, but there's people waiting in the wings who want that opportunity just as much or more than you do. And you got to figure out all their hidden agendas, which you can't figure out instinctually. You just got to say, okay, I'm just going to focus on being as talented and overwhelmingly powerfully great as possible. And then everything else will come. And what I'm trying to probably stress that makes you probably feel a tiny bit like, what am I, is that you're that guy that's done that over and over again.
Thanks.
And I think it's an unspoken kind of talent that you can't even put your finger on, or nobody even, it's almost like you couldn't even teach anything of how to be that person, except for teaching that every moment that you're on screen, make sure it's a moment that's going to be as extraordinary as possible.
Right. Well, I think I'm very team oriented. I played basketball in high school, and I wasn't very good, but I would just do whatever had to be done to make the team go good, and I would set picks or pass or, try to rebound, just do the best I could. So I take that mentality everywhere. And I took that with YouTube, I think.
So if you hadn't obviously, you say it's luck. You were at the Improv. They happen to be at the Improv.
Yeah.
I know David isn't here, but I'm pretty sure that David went to many comedy shows, and
I don't know.
He chose
maybe
he chose you to be a person who he works with.
Well, I was willing to. We had a great relationship because he had all his friends that were his age that wanted to party, and David wanted to make videos, and then I had, 2 kids, so I was ready to go anytime, morning or night. Like, I was divorced, I didn't have a girlfriend. I was like, let's focus on this. And so 100%
another
went
thing
into
that's interesting. At the time, he was in his early 20s or mid 20s.
Yeah, I think I
right?
met him when he was 20, or maybe even 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were 15 years older than him?
No, I was 40. I was 43. He was 20.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so here's a situation where he saw the importance of a character that was almost like
Yes.
a father figure.
Yes, yes, or a deadbeat dad, or an uncle, or a
importance
guy,
of
a guy clinging to his youth, and we played all those comedy tropes in the sketches. And then, unfortunately, people go and they're like, "Oh, wait, is he a deadbeat dad?" You know, like. But in the sketch, I'm like, "Yeah, my kids," or I'm like, I'll call my son by the wrong name, or whatever it is. So it was, yeah. So there was the other side of that too, where you're like, "Oh, like, no, I'm a good dad." But sometimes, that gets lost. That's why I'm doing it. And the internet's so funny, too, because it's like, unless you're doing something that is pissing people off, you won't get you're not going to get anything, And so that's what we did. And it's unfortunate that it's that way, But when I look at somebody like John Mulaney, who just does, like, beautiful comedy and just like so well written, great delivery, introspective stuff, especially the last special. Like that's the stuff that I'm like, wow, like
I love that
that's
special.
real talent,
But so let's go one step further.
Yeah.
One thing I never understood about you.
Yeah.
And I want you to explain it to me, and because this kind of ties in with the Gabriel Iglesias thing.
Yeah.
So throughout your career, you've had these enormous worldwide audiences.
Yeah.
And even if you don't feel comfortable in your stand-up and you don't feel as valid as some other people who like John Mulaney,
Sure.
you still have had the opportunity to go out on a consistent basis and create a show and I know you've done pieces of this, so please know I know, but like
Sure.
a Jason Nash comedy experience that goes out on the road every year with a group of comedians. And even if it only started in 300 seaters one night in a town.
I'm just
or
not that good
whatever.
at it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Let
when I go watch.
Let me just go toe to toe with
Yeah,
you.
go,
Do you
go,
mind?
go.
This is
There's a
what-
reason, Barry, that I'm not.
No, I'm just.
I have a Netflix special.
Can I?
And I watch them all.
Can I just
Go ahead.
say this?
Yeah.
It's so wild talking to you because you're so successful, yet you have this narrative in your head.
I know I do. You're right.
And so, but let's pretend you have the narrative in your head, and just bear with me for a second.
Sure.
So let's pretend that you are not a good comedian.
Right.
Let's pretend you can't even do comedy.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can still host a show with 3 or 4 great comedians
Yeah.
who can do sketches and stand up and do videos and every year have a tour
Yeah.
that you four wall everybody else.
Right.
It's like even if you do it at the Improv and they want to take like 30% or 20% or 10% or whatever it is on a Thursday night at the Dallas Improv for 300 or 400 people, or if you want to go into a theater or whatever, you have the worldwide audience and you talk about, how you want to take care of your kids and you want to do this. And it's like, to me, it's the biggest no-brainer in the world, because if you have the following you have, can I just ask you this?
Sure.
And I don't even know the answer. I want to know your answer.
Sure.
So let's just say I say, Jason, I want to do a show where you film some new sketches that are only on the tour, and we have a video screen, and we're going to do one sketch at the beginning, one in between each person, and we're going to have 3 comics, and then at the end, you guys are going to do some kind of unique live thing together, like
Sure.
as an encore or whatever. And it's your team and your thing, and let's call it the Jason Nash experience or whatever. And I'd like to do this show in let's just say
Let's say-
Chicago, Illinois.
Sure.
And I have a
Schaumburg.
I have a little theater that's 500 seat theater.
Yeah.
And I want to do it there, and I want to put it on. Let's make the VIP experience, the meet and greet. Let's make that $100.
Yeah.
And let's flex the tickets so no one knows how many meet and greets we have. So if you sell all the tickets at 100, whatever, if you don't, you'll sell some at 20, some at whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And you guys will be on a tour bus. We'll do Chicago. We'll do Cleveland. We'll do Boston, New York on this week's run. Okay, we're gonna
Sure.
do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, we're gonna set this up, and you're gonna just be,
Sunday.
and you're just gonna be on a little, you're gonna be on a little Sprinter van with your people.
Oh.
It's gonna go from one place to the other to save money, and we're gonna do this. Do you feel like there's no one's gonna show up?
I did a tour. I did a really successful tour in 2019, and I played all the improvs. I played Dallas. I played Houston, and then it was just stand up and meet and greets and stuff. And then I went out last year.
But that's you alone.
Yes.
I'm not talking about you alone.
Oh, you want to? Sure. Honestly, Barry, going on a bus from Thursday to Sunday.
Forget the bus, then fly there.
But even touring like that, it's tough. It's rough. It's rough on the system.
But you do it the way you want to do it. You do it every other day. You do it once a week. You do whatever.
You just said a Sunday night show. I'm like, oh.
All right, whatever.
Sunday night
whatever
show.
you do. What? Do you really have the Sunday? Is Sunday really any different than Wednesday for you?
It is, because after you've been in New Brunswick Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and done 2 shows, Friday, I've done it, and then Sunday, so then you wake up Sunday, you're in the hotel,
All right,
and you're like,
all right,
fuck, I have 12 more hours to
all right,
the show.
Jason. Let's just do it your way, however you would do it.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
say you do one show that week. That's it. And I put the show up, and it's you and all these great young
Comedians.
people who are also influencers.
But they can't do stand-up.
Listen to
They're
me.
not funny.
Some can do 10 minutes of stand-up
Yeah.
that works. Some people look at if you'll oblige me. Look at King Batch. I mean, he
Yes, I know him
opens
well.
up for Joe Coy.
Yes.
He's not Joe Coy, but there's something there. I'm not saying you're going to go on tour with King Batch. I'm just saying that, but there's people
Sure.
who influencers or there's even stand-ups who have great followings that
Right.
would love to go on a situation where, again, what David did for you,
Yeah.
you can do for other people, and it's symbiotic. And so when you go to a venue, the money is extraordinary. It's extraordinary.
Well,
if
I
it
know
goes well.
exactly what the money is at the Improv for one show.
Yeah,
It's about $15,000.
it's $15,000 depending how you
Gross.
do a meet and greet and how you
With
put
the
it
meet
together.
and greets. So you do 200 meet and greets. I can tell you the exact finances because I did it. And the best check I ever got was $22,000 one night. That was the best check.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you do that 52 times
Yeah.
a year, once a week for a year, that's an extra $1 million. Is that going to hurt your Is that going to hurt your kids?
No, I'd be happy to.
Is that going to help your
No,
cred?
listen, Barry. If you want to put me in a tour and you can get 300 people to see me, I'll go. But I'm telling you, I don't know if I can do that. I don't think I can fill out a
So you
room
don't
of
think your
500
fans
people.
would come to see?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because I'm not a good stand-up.
You're presenting a show with other stand-ups.
And then you have 4 stand-ups there, so then the finances of it are like you have to pay the stand-ups. No one makes any money. Right? Am I wrong? What do you I mean, you're talking about like a 300-person show split 5 ways, 300-seater.
I don't know if it's a 300-seater. I don't know what you're going to sustain. But what I am saying is this, and no one knows this more than you.
Yeah.
What you do today attributes to what happens tomorrow.
I know.
Who you inspire today
Right.
comes back to you tomorrow.
I know.
Who you bring with you and bet on and fight for, they're fighting for you tomorrow.
Yeah. I know.
And so you could do this thing and you could put 3 people that have great followings, but they need somebody, need a fucking mentor like you.
Right.
That really will help add value. They need to Airbnb your mind.
Yeah.
And they go on the road, not so much for the money, but to have that experience. And you put them in your videos and do whatever.
Right.
And then they're like, when they launch, they will
Remember me.
remember you
Yeah.
and support you.
Something we can talk about for sure. I mean, I'm down. I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm just trying to get by. I'm making a TV show, so I'm working on that. So we're supposed to shoot the pilot in August.
That was the next thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Go ahead. Why isn't there a Jason Nash TV show?
No, but you have the resources.
Yeah.
This is what you have that most comedians don't know how to do or have. And this is what always blew me away about you. And I wanted to ask you about this.
Please.
If I gave you, forget yours, but let's say I wrote my own, whatever, half-hour show.
Yeah.
And I came to you and I said, listen, let's pretend we could have put a pause on the earth for a second and time stands still except for us.
Yeah.
And I say to you, listen, I'd like you to I'd like you to help me punch this up. I'd like you to direct it. I'd like you to produce it. I'd like you to star in it.
Yeah.
You could shoot it for $6 in a bucket of chicken. You could put it together. You could get a guy guys with steady cams and iPhones and sound systems.
You need $150,000 to shoot a pilot at bare minimum.
Jason,
Barry,
I'm going to go toe to toe with you if you don't mind.
let's go toe to toe.
Okay, when you do a sketch in the field that you shoot,
Yeah.
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That you're so proud of.
Yeah.
And it's like 1 minute to 2 minutes long. How much does that cost?
0.
Exactly. So
But what are we talking about, Barry?
Why would a 22-minute pilot cost $150,000?
Because we're talking about a scripted show with good actors
Good
that you're going to
actors,
hire and
good-
pay and a
no,
crew
no,
and make it look good
no,
and pay for locations and get
no,
insurance.
No, listen to me.
So
and
tell
I'm
me,
going toe to toe with you.
Barry, I've been down this road 1,000,000 times.
Well, maybe
Go to
maybe you
toe.
should go 1,000,001.
Okay, I'll go 1,000,001. Go. I'll go one more
Okay.
time.
You, number one, are capable of writing a script that is set in a place that is not going to cost a lot of money for locations. You know that you have the mind to write a script that could be set in one place where you could do scenes outside on the patio, here on the street, in the living room,
Right.
whatever. You're no dummy. So, and you know that there's a friend of yours who owns a mansion who'll give it to you for the day because they love you.
Right.
Free location. Number two, you have 1,000,000 friends who are some of the most extraordinary actors in the world that would fucking spit blood for you.
Let's-
Don't let me finish.
Go ahead.
Promise. Let me
Yeah, go
finish.
ahead.
And they, even though they're union actors,
Yeah.
they'll do you the favor to do this in a way, in a low budget way where you can do it as a digital thing where you only have to pay $125 for each actor. And then if it sells, then when the network deal comes in, they make their money.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
In terms of a director, there's no director fee, you're the director. In terms of a producer, there's no producer fee, you're the producer.
Right.
In terms of a writer, there's no writer fee. You're the writer. In terms of the cameramen, you're gonna get friends to shoot it for you, and you know that you'll pay them. They'll be the ones that get paid the most, the sound guy and the cameraman.
Right.
But they're still gonna do it for the friends and family rate.
Yeah.
So this pilot is gonna cost you $6 and a bucket of chicken.
Yeah.
And every year you're capable of doing that with your resources, your mind, your brilliance, to where you go out in the marketplace and you know what? I'm not going to pitch this show anymore. Here, watch this.
Right.
And then if it doesn't work, then it goes up on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, but that's 2 months of not working and not making any money. 3 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah. I did it with my first movie, Jason Nash is Married. I did it that way.
That's a movie. That's a 90-minute movie. It's not 21 minutes.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
I just see things in you that
I love it, Barry. I love that. I'm so appreciative that you do see that in me. I'm at the place in my life where I'm like, to go and pull favors and call Adam Ray. Adam Ray came to mind. Like, I want to pay him what he's worth. You know what I mean? I don't want to do. It's just like such a. Such a gamble.
If Adam Ray, let's just doing what I'm suggesting, next month.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey Jason, how you doing? I'm doing this thing. I wrote this pilot. I'm directing it. I'm producing it. I'm so excited about it. Can you come by for 3 hours on Saturday to shoot a scene with me?"
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it.
I've done it. I have done that. My first movie had T.J. Miller in it, Andy Richter, Rob Corddry.
Are you upset? Are you upset about that?
No, I'm not upset about it. I'm happy you're
when you
challenging
get the call
me.
from Adam Ray.
Oh, when I get the call?
Are you upset? Oh, that Adam Ray. I can't believe it. I can't believe he's asking me for fucking favor, that sucker. That Dr. Phil motherfucker. I can't believe he's asking me a favor.
No, I'd be excited if Adam Ray called me, for sure. Well, I sold the pilot, Barry. I'm making a show, and we're doing it with real actors and stuff. We had auditions last week.
No, I got that. But what I'm saying is...
But you want me to go out and make something for $6 and try.
No, what I'm saying is they own you.
No, I own half of it.
Well, you own half of it.
I own half of
You're
the show.
doing it the traditional way, and they own half of it.
No, I own half of it. They own half of it.
No, I know.
Yeah.
You're doing it the traditional way, and they own half of it.
Yes.
Well, that's a miracle.
That is a miracle.
So
I got a good deal, but it's a private investor.
That's okay.
Yeah. So what are you saying?
So you're sort of doing it in a way where you
Sort of, yeah. Sort of doing it in a way.
So
my wife is going to play herself. I'm going to play her myself, and it's like my Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's called Everything Is Fine.
No, that's fantastic. So you are doing it in a way.
Yeah.
But you're doing it in a way where you got somebody to put up real money to do it for real, as opposed to
got real money. But we're trying to cast people, and it's like it's going. I'm nervous. I'm like,
well, I think for the
choose the right
again,
people.
I'm sure you already know.
We're trying to get Blake Griffin to be in it.
Well, you can get Blake Griffin to be in it.
I only get one DM. Did you know that? So I DM'd him, and then it says, "Okay, you're done until Blake Griffin approves you."
Yeah, but there's other ways to get Blake Griffin. He was just...
We tried. We called his people. I sent an email. I made a formal offer. I'm trying. I got to move on. You know Dwayne Wade?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. I have him in my... I actually have him in my phone.
Do you really?
Yeah. I just did him. I do the Bill Bellamy. I executive produce his podcast, and we had Dwayne as a guest. So
you had Dwayne Wade as a guest on there.
Yeah.
He's great.
So
I need a basketball player basically to play himself in the pilot.
What about Rodman?
Incredible.
What about John Sally?
Somebody suggested John Sally.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's funny too, isn't he?
Fantastic.
Yeah, John Sally's funny.
So, but the thing is, what's interesting is that if you have I'm asking you all these crazy questions, and I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
If you have an investor,
it's the best podcast I've ever done. Go.
What? Thank you. If you have an investor, why don't you hire an extraordinary casting director?
I did.
Oh, and they're having trouble getting to.
We just can't get a response. I don't think we're offering enough money.
I'm going to cut that out of the thing, so I'm not going
can.
to shit on the.
Cut what out? The casting director?
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, she's great. You don't have to cut it out.
Okay, all right.
You're saying you would have gotten to Blake Griffin already.
I would have gotten an answer.
Yeah. I know. Well, I don't have a manager, so that's my problem too.
Got it. Okay.
I don't have a manager.
All right.
So I'm doing everything myself. Like,
Now, sometimes people, like, there's a documentary being done on me and the behind the scenes of the business.
yeah.
I didn't want to do it, and
What was the documentary about?
it's about my career and
Oh my God.
the behind the scenes also of the business and how it works. So they've gotten interviews with Patty Jenkins, and she's one of the top directors. They've got Doug Herzog, who was one of the top network presidents.
Yeah. I know
All
Doug
these people, Julie Ashton, the great casting director, everybody in every walk of life of the business.
Yeah.
And then comedians talking about me and my life, but also just the behind the scenes minutia of what it takes to get where you want to go in this crazy fucked up business.
Yeah.
But what I told them was, I said, I just want to let you know something. Robert Kennedy Jr. has 12 family members who aren't voting for him. Okay, including his sister. Okay, so there's going to be people that I think hate me and are never going to do an interview that are going to end up doing the interview. And there's people that I think love me and would do anything for me who say no.
Sure.
And everywhere in between, as long as you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm
I guess
okay
that's
with it.
everybody, right?
So it's the same, like, so you can't, there's going to be people that you reach out to that don't answer or do whatever. But
Yeah.
Blake Griffin's been doing a lot of shows at the Comedy Store.
Oh, has he?
He's been hanging around. And so, there's ways to find out where he's hanging around.
Right. I should go to the Comedy Store.
And just, there's always ways of getting to people.
Yeah.
And so I just think beyond the casting process, and the casting director would be okay with it because they know their worth, but they also know sometimes, obviously when Tom Segura does Bill Burr's podcast, I don't think Bill Burr's calling Tom Segura's manager and agent for him to do the podcast.
Yeah. I know.
So anyway, I've had so much great time with you, but so I'm just going to ask you a few questions here, and then we're going to wrap this up, okay?
One,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 degrees of separation.
6 degrees of separation. I'm going to mention some names.
Go.
You tell me what you think. It
Okay.
could be a sentence, a word, a little story,
Okay.
anything, whatever.
I love this.
Norm Macdonald.
I work for him. Incredible. An experience I had that I only appreciated 10 or 15 years later. Something that I had that I didn't even know how blessed I was in the moment to be around him and to experience him. And he was the funniest. He was like, I was right out of college. I was the receptionist at SNL, and then I started to work for him, and I did Update for him. And dude, he was like, just learned so much from him and Jim Downey, and I was like, wow. And then just crazy.
That was actually the next name I was going to mention, Jim Downey.
Crazy.
Jim Downey, by
Crazy
the way,
McClintock.
I'll let you describe Jim Downey.
Jim Downey?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Why don't you tell people what he did there?
Well, Jim Downey was like, was or is the head writer of SNL. I don't know if he's still there, but I was like 21 years old and working for Norm. And Norm would be like, hey, Downey's gonna come in. He's gonna, write the jokes, and then he would just to watch him like work and to see what he thought was funny, and then to see how funny he was, and he's just like this pasty white guy, like, I guess he went to the Lampoon. I don't know if he did or not, but he just had so much experience and had dealt with every single celebrity, had dealt with every single writer, had oversaw every single amazing performer. The best would be like one time people would come in and they would audition their update characters for Norm and Downey, and people would come in and they'd audition the character, and Norm and Downey would like not laugh. It'd be so fucking awkward. It'd be like, oh, like they really don't like this certain comedian. They didn't think it was funny, which is the worst. And then I remember Will Ferrell was coming in to like audition something, and I really loved Will Ferrell. Like I was like, oh my God, like, and he was new to the show, and I was like, I just thought he was so funny. And I remember being so stressed out, like, oh fuck, I'm like, I hope they like. And Will came in and did like Harry Carey, and they were just like, they loved it. And it was like, just like little moments like that, just watching somebody go through that, watching somebody like put themselves out there in that regard and then crush it, you know, like learned a lot.
I think the thing that also comes full circle in this interview,
Yeah.
and I think the audience should know this.
Yeah.
Jason said he started as a receptionist.
Yeah.
At
I was an intern
SNL.
first. Yeah.
He was an intern first.
Yeah.
Okay. Free.
Yes.
Then he got a job as a receptionist.
$400 a week.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I just want to put that in there.
You moved up.
Yeah.
And then as a receptionist, and keep in mind, I know this from experience because I had God knows how many clients on SNL. I was there. I've probably seen over 100 shows live, probably more than that.
Yeah.
And been through the whole process. There's probably been over 1,000 people who have interned or been in positions that were $400 a week. So Jason's an intern. He moves up to the reception. That reception desk phone, if you've never been there and seen what it's like.
You talked to Mick Jagger once.
It's fucking insanity. And there's an intern, there's a $400 person on the desk
Yes.
dealing with all this craziness. Now, and then just to show you how Jason has done this throughout his whole career, this winning formula, he ends up working for the star of the show, Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald is a fucking genius.
Yes.
Show me who you're with, and I'll show you who you are. Okay? So as a young artist, you decided and you figured out a way to navigate and intern at SNL, the greatest sketch show in the history of the world. You didn't decide to intern for candle pins for cash. Okay? You went for the top tier place.
Sure.
And you didn't take no for answer. You got it.
Yeah.
Then when you got in, you said, hey, where is all the action happening there? I'm going to get that gig. And you went for it and you got it.
Right.
And then you identified the guy who was the greatest person on the show and one of the greatest minds in the history of comedy.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm going to get in and help that guy.
Yeah.
And that's what you've done your whole life.
Oh, thanks, Barry.
And that should be noted. That's not just...
Can you speak at my funeral? Please?
Hopefully that won't be too soon. So, but it should be noted that that's a skill set that your winning formula throughout your life.
Right.
Your proudest moment in show business.
My proudest moment in show business? I don't know, man. Nothing. There's nothing. You know, like making movies, I guess. Making a movie is probably my proudest thing. Making 2 movies. But that was it. Because that was like I really wrote them and like tried to make them good. Jason Nash is married, probably my proudest. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Your greatest disappointment in show business and how you used it to fuel yourself to the next level.
I wish that I could have stayed in the traditional world longer. And I still want to get back there. So whether that's stand-up or a TV show, something like that, that would be the goal.
And just to make a comment,
Yeah.
Again, going back,
Yeah.
I asked you, why did you go into the influencer world?
Yeah.
And you said survival.
Survival, yeah.
So if you were to look at the traditional world like you looked at that, you will be back in the traditional world.
Because the traditional world is turning into the internet world? Is that what you mean?
No, because you will treat it like I need to do it to survive. And if you treat it that way,
Yeah.
you'll have everything
I know what you
want.
mean.
And so you're going to do this with this pilot, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
So last question.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to the young person who, you know, is out of high school or college and they want to be in this business and they want to make an impact and they want inspiration and they want to gain success, and
Just as you're starting, just bring value. Just bring value right away. Be value added in everything you do. If that means like, hey Barry, I'm gonna go wash your car. Hey Barry, I'm gonna go pick up your kids at school. That's so invaluable to powerful people. And like do the job so well. Be passionate and don't go into any field you're not passionate about. If you're like passionate about comedy, go learn every facet of it. You know, I once heard like Chris Rock watches like Charlie Chaplin movies. You know, like because he's a student of comedy. So just eat it up and don't go in anything. You're talking about comedy specifically, right? Yeah. Just go out and do it with passion and and then the money will come.
Jason Nash, this was worth the wait, man. You're amazing. I'm so grateful that you did this with me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was
thank
fun.
you. Thank you. You're the greatest.
It's an interesting podcast. It was a real talk. I learned a lot.